Okay, very important. In the last video, I put the heads on, but forgot these two bolts that go in the head. M6 by 1. One of them goes on the left side head in the front. The other one goes on the right side head in the back. And when I first got the heads rebuilt, I lost one of the bolts, so I had to replace it with this one. And when I took them apart this time, I lost the other bolt, so I had to go get some more. I just got these little cheap zinc coated ones. Okay, I took a wire wheel to the exhaust manifolds, cleaned them up a little bit, and sprayed some high temp primer and black paint on them. It's the exhaust paint that's supposed to be flame proof or whatever. I need to clean up the mating surfaces for the turbo and where they mount to the head. Alright, I got mating surfaces cleaned up. DA sander didn't work. Sanding block didn't really work, so I just ended up using a wire wheel on the mating surface to clean it up. There's a bunch of imperfections, but I'm pretty sure that's what the gasket will fill in. Just used a plastic razor blade and some brake cleaner to wipe off the mating surface on the heads. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the studs on, put the gaskets on, and mount the headers.
Got some Victor Rains gaskets. This one will go like this. It's back in the box, still ready. Manifold. Nice. Alright, yes. Passenger side, okay. Now washers.
Alright, we're going to torque it to 22 Newton meters and torque it in order inside to outside. I'm wondering now if I should have left them all loose and mocked up all the manifolds and then tightened them all down at once. Alright, we got the studs for the left-hand side, turbo side.
Exhaust manifold. Just put all these studs. Let me double check. Okay. The stud locations are different for the NA and turbo manifolds. Around. What we're going to do, just cut this right here on this perforation. Might have to get around that. Or I can take the studs out. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of excess oil right there. Snug these studs down just a little bit. The turbo manifold. Probably shouldn't have torqued the other one down yet. If I have to, I'll loosen it and tighten it back up. Barely. Alright, bad lighting, but got the gaskets. You should be fine. And this goes like tightening some gasket. There we go, close enough. Alright, these bolts back here, nuts and bolts. Alright, cross pipe. Lock down. Cross pipe. These go. These say 22 to 27 newton meters. 2, 4, 5, 6, about 26. Those manifolds are on.
Alright, we got the manifolds on. I was unable to get these studs out. I didn't try that hard, but it is what it is. I did get some new studs, so I'm gonna put these new studs in the two that got messed up. Right there, and there. Got little 6mm heads on the end of the studs so you can twist them in. So we'll just twist those in. Alright, pop the studs, one of the studs on and the turbo on just to mock it up and see what we need to do as far as clocking it goes. This outlet right here needs to be facing out here, and then also the oil drain is sticking out the side. It needs to be rotated towards the bottom, so I think if we just rotate those 4 bolt holes 90 degrees, everything should line up as far as the oil delivery tube and the oil drain. So we'll rotate that 90 degrees, and then we'll also have to rotate that front housing to make sure that the outlet comes out up here. Might also have to adjust this bent wastegate actuator. Might need a new one. We're just gonna have to take this one step at a time and see what happens. Just had one bolt, or one nut holding the turbo on. I also couldn't get this stud in because this is the one I had to drill out and retap, and I think it's just slightly off because putting the turbo on, the flange just barely hits the threads on these upper 2 studs. Okay, I think I'm just gonna take the actuator off here, wastegate actuator.
Alright. There's a big clip running back here. If we grab, oh, nice and tight. That's going to be difficult. Put back on. Does this come off? Oh, we gotta be careful here, I think. Alright, not too bad. Get the housing off. Put this over here. Got the turbine wheel. Alright, so this needs to rotate counterclockwise 90 degrees. I'm taking this off. The bolt is right under this flange for the, what is that, the inlet oil in. And I can't get that other nut bolt off because it's hitting on the other side. So I'm going to have to loosen these. Or maybe I can...
Oh. I don't need to take it all the way off, I just need to spin it. And then it looks like it can spin at any orientation. These are just little clamps to hold it down, hold it in place. So, knowing that, let's put these back in. All right, so I just had to loosen the bolts that hold the little retaining plates, and then I guess that's what locks this in place. Then this part of the this part of the housing. So what I'm gonna do is put this back on the motor, mock it up kind of close, and then once I get it on the motor, I will see how level I can get it, and then make sure this is pointing as downward as possible. So let's do that.
Alright, so we got the turbo here, 3 studs because I can't fit it on with the other stud on there. Hold it real quick. Oh no. There we go.
Okay, I got it fairly level. I'm gonna come over here and look at the turbo. We've got the oil feed line coming out of the block right here. Line will come back here and go into the top. And there's the arrow down right here. So we want this to spin. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm gonna use 2 hands. Okay, it's hitting on this. When I'm trying to turn it, the flange is hitting right there on that bolt. Screwed it in a little bit, just enough to get it past. So I think it should be something like that. All right, here's the oil feed line. This is the oil feed to the turbo. Got the oil return out the bottom of the turbo. This is a bung I ordered off eBay. I gotta weld this on the oil pan, and also get a piece of hose that's good for high temp oil. Gotta figure out what I need for that, but let's go ahead and see if we can put this on.
Alright, we got 19mm right here. I gotta put the camera down.
Not too bad. Probably should have taken this off when I was cleaning the block. Okay. Looks rough. As long as there's no metal shavings, I think we'll be okay. So it's a little banjo bolt, 2 crush washers. I'm gonna leave the crush washers out for now. Okay, not real sure if this is gonna be the final routing of the oil feed line. Definitely have some extra. Just trying to figure out the best way to route it. I know that the motor mount's gonna be here. The AC bracket is gonna be up here. So I'm thinking it's gonna be best just to go under the little water drain for the block and then try and come up here and just loop around up over the top of the housing. I think that's gonna be the best bet until I find something that gets in the way. This is all real tight right in here, but I think we're just gonna have to live with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the bolts for clocking the turbine housing, or the main body of the turbo. Okay, got the housing clocked, all the bolts tightened down. This one right here was pretty difficult, right in between the turbo feed flange. Definitely hard to get that one on. Wrench was just barely thin enough to fit in there, but it is all tight. So now I'm going to pop the front cover housing on. Let's see, maybe let's do it like this.
Alright, gotta figure this out. I had some clip ring pliers, didn't fit. Let's go like... Come on, baby. Go back to the corner locks. There we go. Go in there, you piece of... Oh, what's wrong? That's what's wrong. Oh! Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let's see. Come on. More time. Oh, damn. Too much tension. It's not quite in. Okay, there we go. And got it. Okay. So now we'll just put the turbo back on. I think all I need to do is squeeze this clip, and I should be able to get a little movement if I need to. Let's put this back on here. See, this is probably not going to work. And I don't think I can grab the spring. Clip spring, let's see.
So what I'll do, I'll take the pliers and see if I can just squeeze this enough to twist it. Over here, there we go.
I think that'll hold it enough just to see it's where we need it. Motor mount will be right there. See if I can squeeze this. There we go. Put this right about. I think right about there. I guess we could always adjust it when we're routing the intercooler piping. Just want to see if this is even close to lining up. How was this before? This was like this before. So I might need to do some adjustments.
Alright, we got 5 13mm bolts. So that's the 2.5 flange, 3-inch flange. A little bit wider. I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference. Maybe it will. Maybe right here when it's cut out. Might get a little more flow. Oh man, this is nice and warped. Yeah, this is not even close to being a straight edge. Alright, drastic times call for drastic measures. This was the original 2.5-inch flange for the turbo. I think this is cast iron or something. It's pretty heavy. I got a 3-inch downpipe with some parts that I bought by some guy off Facebook Marketplace, and so he gave me a 3-inch downpipe. So I bought a 3-inch flange for the turbo, but straight from eBay in China, it's warped really bad. I tried sanding it down a little bit, didn't work. What I think I'm gonna do is actually grind out this area because this is just a ridge. It would probably cause turbulence. So I'm gonna see if I can grind this down. This is where most of the bend is. It's just a high spot right here. I think actually this part of the flange is bent up or bent this way. So I got this cheap belt sander. I might get my grinder or flap disc out and try and take this material away right here, and then see if I can clamp it down somehow and run that belt sander on it and just see what happens. So you can see here is the back of the turbo. There's no real mating surface or anything right here. So that's the high part on the new flange. So I think if I just cut that away as much as possible on the flange, we should open it up a little bit, and then we should only have to take down this right here and this right here on the flange, those two areas, and it might fit. All right, got that little chunk all cut out with the cutoff wheel. That you can see is still, I don't know if you can see, but it's still really warped. So I'm gonna get this Harbor Freight belt sander going, see if I can cause some damage.
All right, we got the Harbor Freight Warrior belt sander. Turn up the speed 6. And we're gonna, oh man.
So the $40 Harbor Freight belt sander that I turned upside down isn't working too bad. I think we're a lot closer on getting this flat, so I'm gonna keep going with it. I did put it up against the back of the turbo just to see how that did, and it looks like it's a little high still just in the middle. So I'm just gonna keep working it with this belt sander and see if I can get it somewhat even. All right, I got the turbo flange here done. All right, I got the turbo flange cut out and flattened about as good as I can get it. I cut out this part right here in the middle because that's just probably just caused turbulence right there. That was also a high spot. Put it on a belt sander, sanded it down a lot. It's real close. There's just a slight little movement, but not that much. I did actually order a gasket for this. A gasket, it didn't even come with a gasket, this turbo, so I was able to find it on like a diesel performance website. So I will put a gasket on here, and I'll probably use some orange copper RTV silicone. All right, so as far as this clocking the turbo, I think I've got as far as I can go without putting the motor in the car. I do still have to put the gasket for the flange back here on. I did get one of those. The other thing is some HX35s come with an O-ring for the compressor housing and some don't. I popped the compressor housing off because I didn't remember seeing one, and this does not have an O-ring. So there have been some people that said that could cause some boost leaks. There are some people that have run some high temp silicone on the little light bead on the compressor housing right where it meets the turbo or whatever the rest the flange in there is. But you have to know the exact position of the compressor outlet before you can do all that. So like I said, all this needs to be in the car before I can determine the final location. and then we'll see. I don't know if I'm gonna put the RTV on there or not. I also need to figure out, there's a little clearance issue between the driver's side motor mount and the oil feed line for the turbo. It comes in contact right here. So it's supposed to go on like this, left for the left side, and you're supposed to be able to move this one up, but when you try and align those holes, it's right on the feed line. So I don't know if I just need to cut some of this away or what. I'll look around and see what I need to do.